Yeah. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. First and foremost, I want to wish everybody that's listening, that's part of the Halftime Podcast community, peace, blessings, and prosperity to you all for watching us and staying with us. And I hope everything is going great in your lives. And if it's not, I hope that it turns around soon. Speaking of that, it took me forever to get here because I don't know what was happening on I-80, but Jesus Christ, I'm sick of this shit in the morning, man. All this goddamn traffic. Normally it's a smooth ride. I had my podcast ready to listen to. Of course, it was us, that I was listening to.
Better be, yeah.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Just checking to make sure that we're doing the right things, saying the right things, and just trying to get better with how we do things. But nevertheless, I was prepared, ready to go, had my good tea and everything. Like, I was really up this morning just to fucking crash out on I-80 and be stuck in 20 minutes of traffic trying to get here. But nevertheless, how was your weekend, Coach?
The weekend was great, man. No real complaints. Last Friday, I got to attend Bears training camp, and it was awesome. Got to speak with a couple of the players, got some autographs. So definitely a great experience, and, I'm looking forward to being there tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I get a chance a chance to go tomorrow, which I'm excited about. Hopefully, we can walk away with some great content for the Patreon. This will not, if we do get content and we get stuff, it will not be on our standard YouTube. It will definitely be straight to our Patreon. So, if you are listening, which you will be on this Friday and paying attention to us when we get to Bears training camp tomorrow, if you want to find out what the halftime was into, you will have to tune into our Patreon for that content. But I am excited. I see Caleb has turned some things around from certain comments, but we'll get into that later as we start the show. But what episode is this, Coach?
This is episode 44.
44.
Wow,
man.
I almost forgot.
You did. See, you're aging already. You're aging
Midlife
already.
Crisis will do that to you, man.
It will. But all right, Coach, let's go ahead and get right into the show since the weekend was great, and obviously I got here in safe capacity, even though it was fucking terrible on I-80. But nevertheless, let's get into the show. You know how it goes. It's the halftime give and go, and you know the rules, and the rules must apply. First and foremost, it's on me, and I want to just say condolences to the family of Hulk Hogan. He was a big part of my childhood. Really got me into wrestling along with The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin and Macho Man Randy Savage and a host of other people. Obviously, there has been a little bit of conflict and contention about whether or not people should be happy or sad and blah, 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 because of some of the comments that he's made post-wrestling days. But, when somebody dies, I just want to celebrate the good and just let other people worry about the bad. So, rest in peace to Hulk Hogan. Thank you for all of the things that you did in wrestling, and condolences to you, more so to your family, your wife, and your kids. All right, moving on. Christian Wilkins, the defensive tackle for the Raiders, former defensive tackle for the Raiders, who likes to kiss people on the forehead.
I'm seeing.
I don't know what that's about. I know he was hurt. The Raiders wanted him to get another surgery, and he didn't get the surgery. And apparently a part of why he got let go is because he made someone uncomfortable by kissing them on the forehead. There has been some viral videos that have come out post this to show Christian Wilkins and his antics, and it seems like it's a little bit more than just kissing guys on the forehead. But nevertheless, I hope Christian Wilkins can figure out what he's going to do next, because obviously with the Raiders, it is over with. For you, Coach, we're walking in on you. Ryne Sandberg, former Cubs player. What you got on him?
Yeah, condolences to his family as well, of course. A very beloved Cubs player, second baseman.
Yes. The Rhino.
Yes, had a great couple of seasons when he was in Chicago. Condolences to his family again. I know the Cubs community has definitely felt this one, especially. So, thoughts and prayers out to the family, and we're wishing them all the best. Absolutely. Definitely hard news to hear.
Yes, absolutely. So much death. I guess they say it comes in threes, and that's the way it goes.
So.
Yeah. All right, moving on, Coach. The Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. He has retired. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah. I think people people have different opinions on Tyrann Mathieu in his career. One could say he had an illustrious career and kind of was a great player. Others may just remember him for his last couple of seasons in the NFL. But overall, just probably one of the more popular and influential players of the past, I would say, decade. We knew kind of him coming from LSU, stepping into the NFL, the Honey Badger. Like, it will never be forgotten. And, all glory to God. Hopefully everything goes well in retirement for him, and he finds some great avenues to go through.
Absolutely. All right, moving into the MLB. Aaron Judge is hurt right now, but they're expecting him to come back. How much do you think this is going to impact the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's going to impact him a big deal. Of course, a couple of days ago they were saying 10 to 15 days. He had an elbow flexor strain, so we know that's a big deal in the sport of baseball. You need that elbow for that good torque, but wishing him a speedy recovery. I'm sure the Yankees will feel this. He's been having a pretty decent season. I think the biggest question with Aaron Judge, can he perform in the postseason? That's just always how it's been. So we know what he could do in the regular season. Hopefully he could come back strong.
All right, and back on me, last but not least, Elijah Arena. Speaking of another guy who is hurt, there's been so much happening with Elijah, from being hospitalized to now being hurt. I just kind of hope and wish that everything will turn this corner for him and he can finally get to showcase the skill set and the promise that he has shown in high school, finally in college. But this speaks back to our conversation from last week about the crux of AAU and how it can really be a thing that can be a detriment to some of these young players, because he was a big AAU player, and it seems like them AAU tournaments and all those games is looking like it's biting some of these young players in the butt early on and often. All right, Coach, that has been the halftime give and go. I want to remind everybody to please follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube. We see that you're liking our shorts. We see that you're commenting. You're giving us a lot of feedback. But please remember to always click that notification bell and subscribe, so that way you can get information as to always when we are dropping new content. But I also want to say that we are very excited because we finally hit the 200 subscriber mark. So clap that up, team. Yeah. And this is all organic. This is not us paying for advertisement or anything like that. That is literally just off of the strength of the content and you guys rocking with us, word of mouth and things of that nature. So we are very excited for finally reaching 200, but we want to keep going. We want to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So those of you who are subscribed to us, keep telling everybody about the best sports coverage on all digital platforms. All right, Coach, you ready to play our game?
Let's play our game, man.
All right, who's cooking and who should stay the out the kitchen? Number one, I want to give a lot of support and praise to the Colorado staff, the University of Colorado's medical staff, for helping Deion Sanders recover from a tumor that I believe was found in him recently, and they have removed the tumor and he is now cancer-free. And I want to shout that out because a lot of times people question why Deion left certain situations and went to certain places, but here's an answer as to why. Like, sometimes the things that you're going through in life, your health and situations that you're experiencing, may require you to make moves into places and other situations where they have a little bit of more resources. Because had he been somewhere else, maybe this would have never been found. Maybe he would have had to have been moved somewhere else to be hospitalized. But at least in this current situation where he's at, he was able to be on scene at the spot at the university, get medical treatment, get medical surgeries done, and still be there for his football team. So I want to give a great big shout out to them at the University of Colorado for taking care of their own. Obviously, and that's essentially what they did. And so I want to shout out them, because obviously had they not been able to find this and be able to help, this could have really turned bad for Coach Prime and his family, and we could have been talking about another situation of somebody that we lost that was obviously great in their field and still doing great things for others and everyone around them. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, don't have nothing much further to add besides just seconding on what you said. Definitely a huge shout out to the medical team over there, and I'm really happy for Deion. I know kind of stepping into this year, his first year at Colorado without his son or any kind of influential player on the roster, but especially without his son. So I'm excited to see what he could do for that football program.
Yeah.
They really have turned it around these past 2 years, and I'm glad he's in good health now, and hopefully that continues by the glory of God.
All right. Let's continue to move on. Who else is cooking? Apparently, they say the Bears defense is really looking really good in training camp. I'm very excited to hear this. Is it something that I did not expect? Absolutely not. Of course, we're the monsters of the Midway, so we're going to have defense to some capacity. Now, have there been years where our defense was terrible? Of course. Usually they came when there was a lot of injuries. So I'm not necessarily surprised, but it is still good to hear that our defense is holding up their end of the Chicago Bears bargain and making sure that the monsters of the Midway stay intact. You went to training camp last Friday. Was that something that you also saw as well about the Bears defense looking really good?
Yeah, absolutely. DA Dennis Allen has the guys flying all over the field.
Okay.
People are getting put in different positions. You know, they're running a lot of dime sets, a lot of press man, but sometimes they'll be rotating Kyler to the safety position. Sometimes he's in the sub linebacker position.
Okay.
Like they haven't really, he's a very versatile player, and I think he's finally being used to his fullest capacity, not just in a nickel package. And Tyreek Stevenson has also looked a lot more, he's looked a lot more stable. Like he's looked a lot more just physical and stronger, more speedy than I think we've seen him before, and this is exciting for sure because that was the expectation of him coming out of college, you know. So I think DA's really started to hit home on some of those points. Tremaine Edmonds is another one that has really started to flourish under this system. He's not just sitting in the Mike linebacker position. They got him moving everywhere. You know, sometimes he's in the Sam, Will, doesn't matter. You know, they have him moving all over the field. So it's honestly really refreshing to hear. Of course, this isn't to knock the past like 2 seasons of Bears defenses, but this is going to be great. Like I'd like to see more takeaways from this Bears defense.
If we got to be honest, our defense has been pretty vanilla.
Yes.
That's what it's been. We've been good, but we've been a very basic vanilla defense. We didn't really send too many blitz packages. We wasn't trying to gamble and rush. We wasn't being creative with the rush, bringing guys from the safety, dropping them into the box and bringing them back, while also simultaneously as the safety is dropping back, bringing in an edge rush from a corner. From the defensive back position off the edge or anything like that. We wasn't doing anything tricky. Even our defensive line wasn't really doing anything coordinated where you had guys from the edge coming into the middle, defensive tackle coming off the edge or anything like that. We wasn't doing anything. Very vanilla, very straight down. Everybody just try to beat your man one-on-one, get downhill, and, you know, try to cover and things of that nature. What I do want to know is Jalen Johnson traveling? Or is he still playing one side of the defense, whereas like this is his side, so whoever comes over there he'll play? Or is he traveling with wide receiver 1 across the field? Because that was something that earlier on in the offseason, when he was making his rounds on podcasts after the season was over with, he was explaining and talking about how that was something that he really wanted to do, be the type of DB that travels with wide receiver 1 across the field and make sure that he has that guy locked up as much as possible. Is that something that was on display, or is it still kind of like, you know, divided symmetrically where Tyreek is on this side and Jalen is on that side?
Well, we haven't been able to see that because Jalen
hasn't been in there. Okay,
he's been hurt, so he still hasn't stepped foot on the field. He suffered that leg injury when he was out training, I think in Cali or in Vegas. So we haven't seen Jalen Johnson yet, but I think my fullest expectation in this Dennis Allen defense, and I think DA came out and said it in a press conference recently, that, you know, Jalen will be traveling the field. He will be following wide receiver 1, but we also know that he's going to like to give different looks and, you know, surprise the offense and try to, you know, make misreads happen and occur. So I'm sure it'll happen, but to a certain extent.
All right. Well, that's who's cooking. Let's move on to who should stay the fuck out the kitchen. And number 1, I won't say they need to stay out the kitchen, but I need to see a little bit more for them before I let them pick up some more pots and pans. And that's the Bears offense. Now, it has been said that they've been a little... Oh, yeah. We love that. It's been said that they've had some struggles. Caleb has struggled. Even some of the wide receivers have been dropping the balls. Recently, I heard that Luther Burden was a little I forgot exactly what he did, but it was something either lining up the wrong way, lining up off sides or something like that. And obviously Ben Johnson chewed him out, took him right off the field, and apparently he gave him like a stare of death. And basically is like there's this whole no nonsense notion of like guys needing to know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, what they're asked, and what they're required to do when they come into the game and when they're lining up and when they're running certain plays, which I do appreciate. There is a sense of urgency for everybody to be held accountable. And I know it's early on in training camp. Preseason will be starting before we know it. There'll be games. I think the second week of August is when they start preseason games.
Yeah, we're less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, less than 2 weeks away. So we'll be able to see a little bit more as time progresses. So you can't really be too hard on things or even too high, right? I'm a little excited about the defense, and I could be a little too high on them because then when the season starts, they're getting their ass beat the whole game and can't stop anybody to run either, which I'm still wondering about the run. So I'll be able to see tomorrow what it looks like, what that defensive line looks like. But sticking on the offense, were there any things that you saw from last Friday that were a little alarming, and simultaneously now we're starting to hear that some things have turned around? That Friday, what were you seeing from the Bears offense that may have had you a little like, I don't know if I really like what I'm seeing here right now, or vice versa? Maybe I'm wrong. Just your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I saw the day I went, at least when they were in live period and running 11 on 11 and 7 on 7s. Caleb did really struggle for the greater half of practice on the first half, but towards the end, he started to kind of excel in that 2-minute drill and late game situation, got to get in field goal range type of thing. But no, I mean, he struggled. I think back-to-back plays on one drive, he threw 2 picks. You know, one was a bang-bang play where hit the receiver in the hands, popped up, Jaquan Brisker caught it, hit it for a pick 6. The other one was supposed to be a back of the end zone throw, which Ben Johnson came out and explained on the press conference. And I'm loving the level of transparency we are getting and the level of accountability he's holding. You know, Caleb left it short. You know, it's if we're gonna throw that type of ball in the red zone, it's either our guy gets it or nobody gets it. Right. And you know, he left it up and defender ended up getting it. So, but I have heard recent days, Caleb's been balling the past 2 days. Even Luther Burden's had a great practice today from what I heard and saw. And, of course, yesterday was a big day for Caleb, I think, on 4 consecutive drives, being able to just move up and down the field. One name for me that has really stood out since he's hit the practice field, Colston Loveland. He's looked like an absolute star, apparently, people are saying, and possibly even might end up being tight end 1 with the level of production he's showing. So,
over Cole?
Yeah, at this point, with some of the production and some of the flashes that he has shown, the kid is an athlete, and he's able to block. Like, Ben came out on the press conference again and said how he's just a smart football player, how he was able to identify the DN was trying to spin off the tight end to go hit the edge, you know, to set the edge, to not let the running back get out wide, and Colston was able to predict that, reset himself, and still hold that block to get the running back a big game. So, I don't know. I'm excited for him. I still think Cole ends up tight end 1. That's not what I'm saying, that Colston will be tight end 1, but yeah, of course, they had their struggles first couple of days of training camp, first couple of installs, but now after a couple more installs, more days with the O-line and stuff like that, it's really starting to come more clearly what this team could be.
Just really quickly, piggybacking off the Colston Loveland point, I'm excited to hear that. I don't want us to lose what Cole Kmet brings to the table. He's more beefier. He's a little bit stronger, and he can catch the ball too. I like Loveland as like a Travis Kelce type of player, a guy that can get a little bit more vertical, a little bit reminding me of like how we used Greg Olsen when he was first here before he got a little older. That's what I like Loveland as, but I don't want us to lose. So when I'm thinking about like a 5, you know, I won't call it wide receiver set, but a 5 wide set, I'm looking at it like 2 tight ends, 3 wide receivers type of thing. And so I think that's what I would want to see from Ben, because I also think it gives us a little bit more support on the edge for our line as well when you got those tight ends in to try to help that, and then they can get out and do certain things. So What I don't want to see is us using one tight end and then trying to have like 4 wide receivers. I'm not a fan of that just yet because I don't think the line has to prove itself first before you start doing that. But I trust Ben Johnson. I trust him to evaluate. But I do like I like the idea of using Loveland and Kmet simultaneously on the field together because I think you get the best of both worlds while you can stretch vertically with Loveland and still also give that safety cushion in the middle with Kmet.
Which I've been seeing in training camp clips. They have been running some 12 personnel, so we have been able to see that. So that's encouraging.
All right, let's move on to somebody who should definitely stay out the kitchen. Go to Germany, go to Bulgaria, go hit an island that doesn't even have a name. It's just somewhere like an island like Jurassic Park and shit. Just we don't know where it's at. Just vacating, isolating, never come back. And that's the Bulls front office. Get out! I have no idea what the Bulls front office is doing and what they're planning to do. And just where their mindset is when it comes down to certain decisions. You extend Billy Donovan, which we'll talk about later, who has done absolutely nothing. We have coaches like Mike Brown getting fired. We have coaches like Mike Malone getting fired. We got Taylor Jenkins getting fired. We got championship coaches like Mike Budenholzer getting the door. Championship coaches like what's the guy that was with the Lakers? What's his name?
Darvin Ham?
Not Darvin Ham, the one that came after him. Not JJ Redick or the one before Darvin Ham. White guy, frizzy hair.
Frank Vogel?
We got him, and he's a championship coach. He's getting fired. We got a litany of coaches just being fired. And this dude, Billy Donovan, is proven, and I just want to say this, he's proven that relationships matter more than actually results. Just having great relationships will always get you an opportunity to keep a job than actually putting out great results. Because the Bulls front office is literally telling fans right now that if you're just a good guy and we like you, you can stick around. You can stay around forever. Meanwhile, they haven't figured out what they're going to do with Kobe White. They keep having these conversations and rumors popping up about potentially Kobe White to Minnesota for Rob Dillingham. Then you got, what are you going to do with Io? Apparently the Warriors are so interested in Io. And maybe the only smart thing that they're doing is playing hardball with Josh Giddey. What is your thoughts about this Bulls front office before we pivot into talking about this Billy Donovan extension?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a head scratcher, but it also doesn't surprise me in a way because ever since this front office has stepped in, of course, they've made their couple of moves that, people at the time thought were solid, and here we are today, and nobody from those moves are on the roster anymore. Yes. So, besides Vucevic, of course. And, yeah, I mean, it really is just it's disappointing to see. But, like I said, doesn't surprise me anymore. Nothing surprises me from this Bulls front office at this point because at this point, I expect mediocrity. That's honestly what I expect within this next season, within the next 2, 3, 4 years, honestly.
All right. That's been our game. Who's cooking and who should stay the fuck out the kitchen? But before we move into our next segment, I just want to remind everybody that you can follow me and Coach separately and individually on Instagram if you want to talk to us about anything sports related, podcast related, journalistic wise, or even just talking to us about athletes and what you will want from your kids as far as training or AAU or any coaching tips or anything like that. You can reach out to Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ, and you can reach out to me at Coach M_got it. Again, if you want to reach out to Coach Conrad, it's at Coach KDZ, and for me, it's Coach M_got it. All right, let's hurry up and move right into this because I still got some more shit to say. Ooh. Let's move into the halftime report. Yeah. Love it when the music comes in. Gets me hyped up and ready to go. So look, all right, Billy Donovan gets the extension. All right, Billy Donovan gets extended. We don't know how long it is. It just says a multi-year extension. I don't know what that means, how long that's supposed to be, how many years that's supposed to last. But nevertheless, we know that Billy Donovan is going to be with us at least another 2 years, right? They are trying to tell us that he's good for development. Who the fuck has Billy Donovan developed? Nobody. There's nobody on this roster that this man has been able to develop. We have a terrible record under his regime. We have one playoff win that we've managed to get because DeMar DeRozan just so happened to have a good game that night, and we managed to beat the Milwaukee Bucks, who probably took it easy on us because they spanked us the game before by 20 to 30 points. Put belt to ass in game 1. So game 2, they probably took the gas off a little bit, and we were able to squeeze out a tough win in that game off of DeMar DeRozan. Have okay, well, I guess it was a good performance, but he did not compound that with great performances after that. Game 1, he was terrible. Game 3, game 4, game 5, when it was a gentleman's sweep, he was not spectacular like he was in game 2. And we know Zach LaVine was hurt that entire series and things of that nature. What the hell does the Chicago Bulls franchise and organization and front office see in Billy Donovan? Is it literally just the fact that he's a Hall of Fame coach that the Bulls front office is just like, we can't fire him because he's in the Hall of Fame now? Is that really just what it is, that because he's in the Hall of Fame, it makes it hard to sell to your fan base that you're firing a Hall of Fame coach? Or you don't want to be the franchise that fired a Hall of Fame coach, but you're also the franchise that didn't pay Michael Jordan? You're also the franchise that didn't give a damn about Derrick Rose when he was hurt and you tried to force him back? You're also the franchise that in recent years didn't know how to build a team around Jimmy Butler? Then also compounding that with being a franchise that finally got a player that was on a max contract, and before the ink could fucking dry, you were trying to trade him to the Shanghai Sharks? What the fuck is up with this team? Every single time we turn on any news page that talks about the Chicago Bulls, it's just a WTF moment. Like, what are y'all doing? I don't get it. I don't understand it. And I'm trying to rationalize to some capacity. Is it simply just the fact that you don't want to be the franchise that fires a Hall of Fame coach recently being inducted or will be inducted, right? You don't want to be the franchise that does that as soon as somebody gets an honor of that level. Is that what this is about? Or is it simply that Billy Donovan knows how to manage the mediocrity of what the Bulls are trying to sell? He doesn't tip off anything. He doesn't let the fans in on what moves the Bulls may or may not make. That he's such a great company guy, that he's such a coach that can go to interviews and deal with all of the sports media from Chicago, the scrutiny. Is it really because he's such a great face forwarding employee that's why they don't let him go? Because if it's anything about results, all of his results say he's fucking terrible. And he has been since he got into the NBA as a coach. He didn't do shit in OKC with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. They went to one Western Conference Finals. And I don't know if he was a coach when they went to the finals. I could be wrong. Maybe he was a coach when they went to the finals and lost to Miami. But I could be wrong. I'm not sure. But outside of that, the Western Conference Finals loss, you didn't do shit with a young Kevin Durant and a young Russell Westbrook with a Serge Ibaka. You get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander when he's young. You get Chris Paul. You had Dennis Schroeder. You created that whole 3-guard little thing that everybody was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is kind of neat. Did some special things there, but we don't give you credit for developing the league MVP right now. I don't know. Maybe that's what the Bulls look at. Maybe they say, oh, he developed the league's MVP, but you kind of left Shai out there after like maybe 1 to 2 years of coaching him, and then you came to the Chicago Bulls because you didn't want to rebuild and start over with OKC when they were trying to go that route. Like, what the hell do they see in this guy, coach? This is like a woman who just hates you, don't cook for you, don't fuck you, just does nothing for you all day, every day. And all your friends are like, bro, you need to leave her. She doesn't love you. And she cheats on you. We don't want to tell you that because we know you're in love, but we want to tell you everything, and you're not listening, and you won't believe us even if we told you. That's what it feels like the Bulls are in a situation is. It's like they feel like this is the sexiest woman they could ever get, and no matter how bad she is, no matter what she does, they just won't leave, no matter how many people are telling them she's ruining your life.
You know, I'm glad you said that because honestly, I do think that ending right there is the situation with Chicago. I think the name Billy Donovan and just his whole legacy, you could say, his whole resume is something great for the business of basketball for the Chicago Bulls.
Okay.
I think that's their only way of looking at it because you can't point to anything that he's done well
outside of college.
Yeah, exactly. To help a team succeed in the NBA. Motherfucker had MVP Westbrook averaging triple doubles, right? So, and he couldn't do shit with that. He couldn't do shit with Paul George there, right?
Was he there with Paul George?
Yes, he was, I believe, for a year. But again, I just think it's a great name. It's a known name around the NBA. Chicago is comfortable with where they're at in the coaching department because I just don't think, like you mentioned earlier in your statement, he doesn't raise any issues. He goes with the flow. Whatever the front office tells him to do, he'll do. He doesn't say anything outlandish to the media. He doesn't actually speak on what's on his mind, or maybe he's a good locker room coach, right? Like maybe he's not getting in players' faces, although he had his whole debacle with Levine. So, but
that's the one player that he got into it with.
They have a debacle. Levine gets traded. So I think that just shows you the mentality and where Billy Donovan is like ranked in this Bulls organization.
He's a made man over there.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched CHGO constantly go live and talk about this. They're all saying like, yeah, after this Hall of Fame induction and whenever Billy decides to stop coaching, he'll probably get a front office role or some type of organizational role within the Chicago Bulls.
So now we're gonna trust this man with executive decisions.
Yeah, that's what it's sounding like.
He can't coach for shit, but maybe he'll be a great executive.
Maybe he could build a team. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating. I'm with you on that, and I don't see. You know, I'm just looking at our whole show run and the topic. Of course, the segment is Billy Donovan. Topic 1 is just simply why. That's all I have left to say. I don't understand why. And maybe people in the comments or maybe people that speak on other platforms can answer this, but I honestly, personally don't see anything great in Billy Donovan for the Chicago Bulls, especially with where we're at right now.
Yeah, man.
I don't see him developing any of these young Bulls that are coming into the league. I think Noah Essengay is going to be another project that they have to work on. Yeah. I think they lucked out with how Modest is turning out. I just think
Modest is still left to be seen.
Exactly.
Right.
We haven't seen him actually step into a true role in the offense or even in the rotation.
We just have strong projections.
Exactly. Because we've seen sparks. Like when he has been on the floor. You know, he had a career high 30-something point game against Los Angeles in LA. So like there's encouraging things to see, but again, like I think that's just Modest being a great basketball player. You know what I mean? Like I don't think there's nothing Billy Donovan's doing, putting him in positions for him to put those points. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's the players themselves getting him the ball and Modest finding the right times to cut. It's nothing within the system, in my opinion.
Yeah, my only last thoughts is I just need the Bears to win because the Bulls ain't gonna do shit.
Yeah, we spoke about that, man.
Yeah, like the Bulls are not gonna do shit. And let me say this. I want to be pleasantly surprised. I really do. I want to be pleasantly surprised. I want Noah Essengay to be the second coming of Scottie Pippen. I want Modest Buzelis to turn into a more versatile version of Dirk Nowitzki. I want Josh Giddey not on this team. Just case in point. I just don't want him here unless he's going to be willing to take 18 to 22 million. If he wants 30 million, kick rocks. I want Kobe White to learn how to be consistent. I don't know where that's going to come from. And I don't want Ayo traded. But I know that the Bulls are going to do everything fucking backwards. Everything's going to happen. Noah Essengay is not going to develop. Modest is going to be underutilized. Kobe White is going to stay on this team and make $40-some million being a guy that only plays basketball for 2 months. Josh Giddey is going to make a lot of money, and we're going to have a backcourt of hell. And Ayo is going to get traded for peanuts because we saw value in this trade because there was an untapped guy that we can probably get potential out of, like a fucking another Isaac Okoro.
Yeah, like whose potential have we actually tapped into off of trades? You know
Like,
what I
you're
mean?
not even the franchise to talk about there's untapped potential. You ain't gonna tap into it.
Yeah.
What potential have you tapped into? You can't tap into the potential of the guys you drafted.
You know what? You know whose potential we did tap into? Zach LaVine, and he's not on the fucking team anymore.
Good point. Good point. We actually saw him blossom in real time.
Yes.
Turn into a guy that was efficient as shit.
And that wasn't even under Billy.
No, it wasn't.
Under Jim Boylan.
It was under terrible coaches, from Fred Hoiberg to Jim Boylan to all, and playing with guys that's not even in the league no more.
Yeah.
Feliciano, Mirotic, Bobby Portis got traded for no reason. And then you got Chris Dunn, who you thought was supposed to be the next coming of Gary Payton, and he can barely keep a roster spot. Like, the one guy that we actually got to see a little bit develop, you traded him for your own pick back because you traded that pick for a guy you should have never got in the first place. You know what? Fuck it. Let's move on.
Let's move on to the next one.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Luka. Laker Luka.
LA Luka.
LA Luka.
Vegetarian Luka.
Vegetarian Luka.
Oat eating Luka.
Oat eating Luka and staying off of the beer Luka, supposedly. He's gotten in shape. He's gotten slim. He's gotten, I guess what they would say, into basketball form. My question for you, though, is now that he's in shape, does this prove Nico Harrison right about everything he said about Luka and why he decided to trade him in the first place? Did Luka, now getting into shape and looking the way that he did, confirm the concerns and the reasons why Nico felt like I had to move on from this guy? And similar to what I was saying about his comfort in Dallas was never going to motivate him to get to the level that he needed to get to. And I was saying that the best thing that could have happened for Luka's career was him getting traded, because now it's a wake-up call. And here we see Luka getting into the best shape of his NBA career. But does this prove Nico Harrison right?
Yeah, I personally think it does. I think at the time a lot of people were just so shocked with the trade that happened that people just wanted, they wanted Nico's head. And
they still do.
Yeah, they still do. But I think that'll change in Dallas once this next season comes around and Kyrie comes back and he's healthy. AD hopefully can actually stay healthy.
Right.
Cooper Flag ends up, becoming a great rotation player in this first year, possibly an impact player, and all the other freaking second unit assets they have. But no, he was right, man. I don't think at any point, if he were to stay in Dallas, no coach could have come into that organization, or no player, nothing could have came into Dallas if Luka was still there and told him to lose weight, to stop drinking the beer, to start doing this,
to stop partying or whatever else he's doing.
Because what would have happened is he would have ultimately been, you would have had to pay the man over $70 million. And then he's like, well, this is my contract. You're paying me this much money. What do you mean you're going to tell me I got to change my ways? Like, nah, you just got to assimilate to what I want to do.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think this definitely has proved Nico Harrison right. I think this is good for both parties. I think it's great for LA, seeing him more in shape. Hopefully he could stay healthier since he's more in shape as well. But it's good for Nico too, because he kind of is like, I gotcha. You know what I mean? Like, I just showed the whole damn organization, like, yeah, I was fucking right. He wasn't gonna do that shit if he was in Dallas. Yeah. You know what I mean?
But this is what I was asking for him to do, and he just wouldn't do it here.
Exactly. Like, we know he could, and he definitely should have, but he just didn't want to do it. So that's unfortunately the consequences. Simple as that.
Now, speaking of that, do you think, with this newfound frame, this newfound Luka, does LA have a chance to do anything this season?
They don't have a chance to do anything as long as LeBron's on the roster, in my opinion.
God damn,
yeah,
Coach.
I think he's ready to go on his farewell tour. But
it is his 23rd season.
I will, yeah, exactly. So I mean, no hate to LeBron, although I'm not a fan, but no hate to LeBron. I think things will turn around for LA once he leaves. I think once they could pick up some solid role players, fill in that salary that LeBron was making, and really start turning just the direction of the Lakers franchise into the direction they already have turned it, right? Which is why we're hearing all these LeBron trade rumors and LeBron possibly
Speaking
wanting
of,
to move.
just really quickly, do you think he does get traded, though?
I think he could get traded by trade deadline.
So you think it's going to... See, my thing is, why wait to the trade deadline to do it?
Because I think it wholeheartedly and wholly depends on how the first half of the season goes. Like, if they're just playing 500, right? If they're playing 500 ball, you think they're going to keep LeBron on the roster? I don't think so.
No, I don't think
they're going to try to get some value back.
Yeah, I don't think it would be smart to do it if they're playing 500
So then
ball,
they could finally become the Lakers that they should be, right? Like, the Lakers are one of the most storied franchises in sports history. Like, and here they are, the past 3 years producing mediocre results. Like, they're making play-in games with LeBron James. You know what I mean? Like, that's just kind of unheard of and something you wouldn't expect. But kind of bringing it back to Luka, I think the NBA has some scary times ahead of them, dude. Because if you remember how Luka was when he first came into the league and he was slimmer, he was faster.
No, he was a problem.
Was scary, and now he has the scoring ability that he has with his shot, able to extend his range, able to get to the basket and post up, knows how to use his
the weight honestly helped him learn how to slow down, how to slow his game down, and to find that ability to shoot mid range, post up, things like that. So his weight helped him refine certain parts of his game. Now, if he's able to put that all together with now refinding some of that athleticism, that speed and stuff like that, you're right. He does become twice as,
I think
three
it's
times
so
more dangerous.
Scary, and I don't think people are talking about it enough. Like, I think, like, young Luka
with a greater
literally
skill
just
set.
Combined with who Luka is right now. That's a scary. That's scary, man.
That is.
Especially if he could start playing some damn defense, because he was doing that when he came into the league. So that's what I mean. Young Luka, give him the skills he has now. That's a scary. That is problematic.
Player. I don't know if the Lakers have enough. I do like the pairing though of him and Ayton. I think that's going to be I think that's going to be a pairing that people are not going to see coming. Especially if Ayton is dialed in and ready to like really play.
If he wants to play basketball.
Yeah, if he really wants to play. There's still some pieces from LA that's missing. I do agree with you though. I do think that they have to fully commit to putting the ball in Luka's hands. And I think they honestly need to trade LeBron before the season start. So that way you can get the pieces from the LeBron trade into training camp and with Luka, so they know exactly what Luka likes, where they need to be on the floor, how they need to play alongside him and stuff like that. If you're really going into the season making this all about Luka, the way that they're writing reports about LeBron didn't know about this and LeBron didn't know about that, and it's time to usher in the Luka era and all this other stuff. If that is truly the case, then you should try to move LeBron before the season starts. I think the only thing holding it up is whether or not they want to make money off of the supposed LeBron James going away tour, right? If this is his last season, which nobody truly knows, but we're all speculating that it's starting to come to the end and year 23 will be perfect. 23 for LeBron, 23 for his jersey, 23 for the fact that Michael Jordan is coming back to NBC to commentate as a special guest. It kind of lines up for it to be the farewell tour that LeBron James can kind of get, right? It lines up in that aspect. However, if I'm the Lakers, you're looking at it from a business perspective and you're saying, well, do we want in on that? Because they made a lot of money from the Kobe go away, from the Kobe farewell tour.
Of course. Yeah.
Every home game was sold out. The NBA made money. I mean, everywhere that Kobe went for away games, it was sold out. You know, just like that. So it's like, do we want to lose out on that? Maybe you do. Maybe you don't give a damn. Maybe you don't care. I don't know. But LeBron hasn't specifically said this is his last season, so you don't know for sure. Yeah. So since you don't have that information at hand, I say play it like you don't know he's retiring. Trade him and make it really all about Luka coming into the season.
I absolutely agree with you. I think what holds more value, and I mean, the Lakers have made their fair share of money. They make an insane amount of money and bring in a whole bunch of revenue every year. I don't think having a LeBron James farewell tour is necessarily something they care about, other than just the image of it.
Yeah, because he's not Kobe.
No,
and he hasn't brought you championships like
you
Kobe.
think he gets his jersey retired
With the Lakers?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
Okay, good.
I honestly don't think he might get it retired with the Miami Heat.
He'll get it in Miami.
If Pat Riley's still around, hell no.
He will.
But they'll do it because of the fact that he was a part of two championship teams.
He'll get it in Miami. He'll get it in Cleveland. Simple.
Well, he has to get it in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Even though somebody can argue that he doesn't technically deserve it in Cleveland. He did participate in helping them get their first championship ever. And I'm going to say he helped participate because if Kyrie Irving misses that shot, we're talking about something totally different.
Yeah, but I mean, he also put up back-to-back 40-point performances.
I don't care.
You know,
but if Kyrie misses that shot, we're talking about something totally different.
That's very true, but we both know as coaches that, everything that happens throughout the course of the game doesn't
everything
just lead to one
matters.
moment. Yeah.
But the shot mattered the most.
I agree with you.
All right. Let's close out our halftime report with our last segment. The NCAA. Let's get into this college basketball. Donald Trump,
college sports in general.
Yeah, it's really college football, but it's really all of college sports in general. Donald Trump puts out an executive order to basically try to lock in and bring some concreteness, or try to bring some concreteness to not saying that college athletes are employees, that they're still amateur athletes, and that they should still be making and recouping and getting some of their money from the NIL format, which is basically them just getting a little bit of a portion of what would be received by the university off of their name, image, and likeness, right? And so there's still some debate and pushback as to how this is truly going to work, because I think universities are in a little bit of a fear of a couple of things. One of them is, who's to say that one player could end up in a situation where they make so much money off of their NIL that they're actually making more money than the university. So that's one thing that the university is scared of. And then they're not getting any of that because that NIL deal is built off of that individual player and the endorsements and whatever that's really just behind that player, right? They're afraid of that type of situation. Then also there's other things as to, for smaller universities who don't necessarily are not the University of Alabama's, the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Notre Dames, the USC's, the University of Florida. I can go on and on.
Yeah.
But those universities that are not like that, they have a concern in the sense of, well, how do we compete with these other teams, these other universities that can offer top-notch prospect college athletes endorsements with Nike, endorsements with Adidas, endorsements with this Power 50 company, and the endorsements with this company, and not to mention the boosters and everything else that this university has. How do we compete with that? So I think there's a lot of layers and things that I was reading into it where it was trying to create like somewhat of an even field in which no university could kind of cash in on being the University of Alabama or the University of Tennessee or whoever to over leverage themselves versus universities that's not as big. Another thing that I was seeing was that they wanted to try to figure out how to disperse this money in an equitable way across more sports outside of basketball and football, as well as the female sports as well. And then also compounding that with like universities that are smaller, figuring out ways in which the NIL can't exceed a certain point so that the smaller universities can still tap into it. So almost in a sense, trying to cap what these NIL deals can look like so that there's still some even playing field amongst the smaller universities and the bigger universities. So as far as that, the executive order is not a federal law. It's just a introduction to a greater conversation, essentially, is what the president is trying to do with that. It's not something it's not a law. Things still need to be done in Congress. So I want people to understand that, because some people think executive orders means like set in stone. This is what it is, because obviously they don't teach people the Constitution anymore and the Bill of Rights and how things work in order to graduate elementary school, because that was some of the things that I had to learn in order to get my 8th grade diploma. So I don't know what the hell is going on with Americans anymore now, where they don't understand those things. But with that being said, what do you make of this whole conversation about making sure that college athletes stay amateurs, equity amongst the NIL, and trying to figure this thing out as far as who will be responsible for creating these laws? Is it something that the NCAA has to regulate themselves, or do we need the federal government in place creating laws to make sure certain things don't happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to answer your last question there, absolutely. I think the federal definitely needed to kind of step in and hopefully the correct legislation starts to get passed on it, because I think we could all agree NIL was starting to get out of hand. It was really starting to take over college programs. There was no sense of loyalty to a program anymore. Kids were just chasing money and opportunities.
And not even going into professional sports anymore.
Exactly, because they're just comfortable, like with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. They were making more money in college than they're making right now in sports. WNBA. You know what I mean?
We just saw Shamar Stewart recently of the Cincinnati Bengals defensive end that they drafted. He damn near was trying to go back to college.
Exactly, because he wasn't liking the contract he was getting in the NFL, some of the subscripts. But anyways, I think there was like a big misunderstanding when this first came out, as far as like people thought this was gonna kill NIL, all in all, and we're gonna go back to players making no money and stuff. Which I actually replied to somebody on Twitter by the name of Wade Plum. He's actually got like over 100,000 subscribers. Yeah, he's like a boxing commentator and stuff. But it reads this: the executive order (EO) I put prohibits third-party pay-for-play payments, but allows legitimate fair market value NIL deals like brand endorsements. Existing collectives, so existing NIL deals, must ensure payments are for genuine services, not disguised as recruiting inducements. Non-compliant ones risk shutdown or restructure. So essentially, all the executive order is doing is, like you mentioned, the University of Alabama, Ohio State, if we're just going to talk about football here. Like, they have the money and all the power in the world to just go pay a guy like Ryan Williams, $2 million, come play for us. Yeah. You know what I mean? And at that point, they're becoming professional athletes, but also, like you said, employees of the school damn near, because they're getting paid directly by the school, but just disguising it as, scholarship, NIL, all this stuff. So I think, me personally, I think this is a good thing. I think this helps a multitude of things within the college world, specifically the transfer portal, right? Like I don't think we're gonna start seeing as many recruits hit the transfer portal, which honestly is great, because I think college sports was built on the premise of who can we recruit from high school and who can we actually develop and build within the 4 years.
It was built off a form of like program loyalty.
Exactly, and I think there's definitely been a loss of that, and we've seen that in all aspects of sports. We've seen that professionally. We've seen that at the high school level with these kids transferring all over the place now, because they're also getting some brand endorsement deals.
And obviously basketball, you got the one and done. Now, football just hasn't done that, right? Now, if the NFL opened up a policy where guys could come into college football and play 1 year and go into the NFL, you will see the same thing happening there too.
Absolutely.
I think the only real reason why they don't do it is, from what I've read a multitude of times, is that they just feel like at 18 you are way too underdeveloped as a man with your body in order to come play in a professional NFL league where you're gonna get hit by grown men. And I agree with them.
Yeah,
I 100% agree with that.
Absolutely, and I hope they never change that.
Yeah, I hope they don't either.
The kids need to be in college for those 4 years to develop.
I think it's 3 years.
I believe it's at least 3. Yeah, so absolutely 100% on board.
And even then, they're still young. 20 is not
21 years old.
Yeah, it's like you still haven't developed your full man frame, but it's better than 18.
Absolutely.
And if you're gonna get hit by Ray Lewis at 20, if you're gonna get hit by Ray Lewis, you have a better chance of sustaining that at 20 than you do at 18.
I also think the NFL just looks out for the players, in outside of football as well. go get a degree in something. You know what I mean? Like, go learn some shit. Go take some classes.
Yeah.
Have a school be your alma mater. You know what I mean? Like, have connections with that school. So when you do retire, because Lord knows how many years you could actually play football because of how physical the sport is, see what you could do afterwards. You know what I mean? I think the NFL has definitely done a great job with that. But
circling back, I was just about to say, circle back to
the NIL and college sports. Like I said, I think this does a great multitude of things for college sports. I think it does give multiple different programs a fair chance at landing some of these prospects. And I think if a kid actually hits the transfer portal, it's because they actually want to transfer to a greater program because they see themselves in a greater role. Simply that. Like, it's not because they're chasing money anymore. And I think that could have been definitely a topic of concern once they hit the professional stage. We saw a lot of second-round picks this year in the NFL not want to sign their contracts because they want guaranteed money. They want this, they want that. And like, all for it. I'm all for it. Great. Look out for your money. But to a certain extent, man, it's like, damn, like, can we just get these guys on the field and not have to worry about all this shit?
Yeah, I get it from that standpoint because, like, as a fan, you want to see the guys that you drafted, the new people, blah, 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 all this new blood. You want to see what they look like. But I also understand the fact that, like, football can be a very short career. And for a lot of guys, most football careers, for a lot of them, it don't last past training camp.
That's very true.
Yeah, for a lot of them, it don't last past training camp. And so for the guys who get past that and actually get a chance to get a NFL contract and be on an NFL 53-man roster, a lot of them, their careers last about 3 seasons. If that, it usually ends after that first contract. You know, whatever the terms of that first contract is over with, a lot of guys don't get that second time around. So I get understanding why they want the guaranteed money because incentive-based contracts suck. Especially if you know that your NFL career cannot last that long when you're not a first round product.
Man, we've even seen it with big guys. Like, we've seen it with Gronk. Like, they get pulled from games because they don't want him to make the extra 500,000 or whatever the case may be. Yeah, and that's also bullshit too. But what I want to say about the NIL is, do you think there should be a cap on it? Do you think that there should be a regulation that says that, all right, or even doing it like this: if you're a quarterback, your cap is this. If you're a running back, your cap is this. Like, should it be like that? And the only reason why I'm saying that is because the language that talks about how you can't use the NIL or you shouldn't be using it as a recruitment tool, right? That's what they're trying to minimize and scale back on. How do you prove whether or not this $5 million NIL deal that the University of Alabama was able to put together for this quarterback? How are you able to prove whether or not it is or is not a form of their recruitment? Exactly.
How is it, how are you able to prove that? It could just be that the University of Alabama has so many connections, which they do, right? Yeah. You can't sit there and pretend like they don't. They have so many connections with all these companies, businesses, boosters, and everybody else. Who's to say that they're just not putting together a situation that is compounded with the interest that they have in the university? Who's to say that is just a recruitment? It's just, no, this is what we have access to. This is the businesses that we have access to. And these businesses are the ones that's showing the interest in this player because they want him to be on Wheaties and they want him to have a Reese's Puffs commercial and they want him to be with Goodyear and they want him, whatever the case may be. Like, that's not necessarily us. It's just the relationships that we have and the cachet of this prospect that we were able to recruit. Those things coming together. You can't blame the University of Alabama and say that this is a recruitment tactic. No, this is just relationships with this individual coming together, and now we have a $5 million NIL package for this one quarterback, right? I guess for me, that's where it starts to get sticky about how are you proving who is using what as leverage for recruitment.
Exactly.
And I think that's why I think like the whole NIL thing is starting to get muddy and starting to get sticky. Why you saying the transferring, why some guys are willing to not go to the pros and come back and stay in college and continue to compound on that NIL, because there is no cap right now. It's like soccer. It just, whatever you can get, you can get it.
Right.
And I think maybe people may not like it, but if you do cap it, I think that's the only way where you can even it out. I'm not sure maybe you cap it by position, maybe you don't. But I do think there needs to be some barrier of saying, like, okay, we can't get too crazy with this because we will isolate those smaller universities who don't have those relationships.
Yeah.
If we put a benchmark on saying this is what it can be, then I think that's how you allow those smaller universities to compete. I mean, really quickly, how would you respond to that if somebody said that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in theory it's a great idea, but I think just as similarly as to the executive order, like, it's a great idea, but how are we going to apply this? Like, how are we going to make sure that, like you mentioned, within the $5 million deal, how much, where is this money actually coming from? And who's even going to be monitoring that? Like, is it going to be the federal? Is it going to be, state regulation?
Is it taxed?
How
is it taxed?
There's a lot of different loopholes that still exist. And I mean, I think, hopefully they could figure it out, because I think in theory, the idea is great.
And that's the other question I was going to have too with the NIL, because they're not employees. Is it actually taxed?
I have no clue, dude. Like, that's the thing. I think there's so much, like,
is this money going to like a non-profit situation type of thing?
I have no clue.
It's like a donation to the athlete.
The NIL thing is still like so new that honestly, I think there's so much uncertainty. I think a lot of people still don't understand it, me included. But I mean, I just try to follow what I do see.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to look into that a little bit more.
I'll definitely do some research after this episode as well. But again, I think great idea both years with the cap and just the executive order in general, but the practicality of it, like actually applying it, will be tricky. Be definitely tricky.
All right, Coach. What episode is this again?
This is episode 44.
Episode 44. Also, we just want to continue to remind everybody to please reach out to us and let us know if you want to send some pictures and some photographs and some things that we can put on this wonderful background so it can be displayed and we can talk about it. Also, we want you guys to continue to keep commenting so that we have more things for our halftime quotables. Last episode, we had a great comment. This week, there's a few more things to discuss, so we didn't get around to being able to have a halftime quotable, but next week we definitely want to be able to respond. We also want to continue to remind you guys to follow us individually. You can follow me, Coach Malcolm, at Coach M_got it, and you can follow Coach Conrad at Coach KDZ. Again, Coach Conrad is at Coach KDZ. Coach Malcolm is Coach M_got it, as well as following our YouTube channel at the Halftime Pod. Look, we love it. We're at 200, but we want to continue to grow and we want to continue to get better and provide more for you guys. But we need you to click that bell. We need you to click that notification, and we need you to subscribe. We're going to Bears training camp. I'm going to be there. Coach Conrad is going to be there. So the halftime is going to be in the building. Hopefully when we get there, the rules are not so goddamn strict and we can't do anything. We can't pull out our phone. We can't pull out a microphone. Because if those things do apply to us, then it'll be very hard for us to be able to get the content that we want. But if we're able to finesse some things and able to get some things out, then we're definitely going to be able to get some halftime content out at Bears training camp tomorrow, which will be on our Patreon. It will not be on our YouTube. Again, it will be on the Patreon if we're able to get that. So please understand that and look out for that and subscribe to our Patreon as well. Anything else you want to leave them out with, Coach?
Yeah. Thank you guys for the 200 subscribers again. It's been great. I'm glad we're still here doing this show. And be sure to follow us on all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Follow us on our DSPs as well. We're on all digital platforms, as this is the best sports coverage on all digital platforms.
You're goddamn right, and you better tell everybody we said so. All right, Coach. As always, we rock out and roll with saying, "See red and bear down, baby."